Matrix ranks high up there for me, but before the Matrix came out, I mean, I was at the perfect age when like Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal and the Princess Bride were all hitting, and so I'm drinking coffee out of my Labyrinth cup here this morning. And
I'm a big fan of the Lion King from back in the day.
yeah, and do you know Labyrinth?
I don't.
Oh my God! Oh, dating yourself. Labyrinth this is David Bowie, I want to point out. He is the Goblin King. And you might see over here, it says Jim Henson's. So,
okay. So Kermit the Frog.
That's right. That's right. Oh, look at this. Weird.
What?
I'm looking at our destinations when I updated in the setup, and I'm getting a 401 unauthorized. Let's go check a couple of our channels and see if we're actually broadcasting.
Okay.
And stuff. So guys, if you can see us, like, make some noise, say something. We may be experiencing some technical difficulties right now. Not quite sure. There's Fred. There's Fred again. There's Fred again.
Yeah. So it kept the old description somehow.
It did, but are we even broadcasting right? Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, Gene says I love that movie. At least on my profile. Let's take a look over.
No, you're right. I was confused. So for some reason it didn't take the new title and description, and then we went live and we're broadcasting with yesterday's title and description. So do you want to start over, or do you want to just keep talking?
Well, I don't want people to think that it's a do-over of yesterday's, but
you know what? Screw it. Let's just talk. Let's keep talking. Whatever.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. It's not yesterday. It is, in fact, today, as it is every day. It's Wednesday, 11:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020. Dude.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I'm wearing a different shirt today, even though the description is the same.
I'm wearing a shirt that's not only not wrinkled, it's clean, and I've got a vest on. Like, this is serious.
You're like dapper. I'm just looking at
dapper.
You now.
I almost put on my bowler hat.
Nice.
So what were we talking about? Good movies. Yeah. So Jim Henson,
Matrix, and the Jim Henson, and what was the name of that movie that you loved?
The Labyrinth. And did you know Dark Crystal?
No.
Oh, there's this whole area. Wow. I have a whole world to introduce you to, Joshua Shafran. You might hate it.
Uh-oh.
You might love it. Yeah. So Jim Henson of Kermit the Frog fame, right, of course, and the Muppet Show, created numerous worlds of fictional characters that became massive hits. So he created the Fraggles and Fraggle Rock.
Right.
There's a massive movie called The Dark Crystal, about ancient elves and mystics and spirits and etheric power, and Netflix, I think, just redid The Dark Crystal after 30 years or something, and it was this huge it's super fantasy fiction, right? Fantasy fiction, and
right.
It was a massive thing, and so.
Gene says the Dark Crystal. I heard they did remake that one. Oh, and Jacqueline says hi.
Awesome. Hey, Jacqueline, good to see you. So, yeah, we're talking about movies. The original title was going to be something totally different. The original title of this was going to be what it really takes to be a successful entrepreneur. And then we were going to change it to It Sucks When It Sucks. And instead, we titled it the same as yesterday's live stream. So good to see you all.
It must have been destined.
That's right. That's right. So what are we here talking about? Well, all right. So here's the thing. Joshua, you and I have individually, occasionally together, worked with a crap load of of entrepreneurs, right?
Right.
And people who wanted to become successful entrepreneurs. They wanted to start their own business. They wanted it to make money. They wanted to quit their job or not have to go back to a job. They wanted to finally have their business make them more money than minimum wage, and or they wanted to figure out how to systemize and automate their business in a way that they could go on to start other businesses or have get their time back.
Yeah.
Between us, we've worked with hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs at various stages in this game.
Correct.
And we've seen a small percentage of them go on to be wildly successful. We've seen a larger percentage of them go on to have good success, meaning they started a business, they quit their job, they started at least one business and they were happy with it, right? Versus became a millionaire, a multimillionaire, etc. But a lot of people never make it.
Correct.
Okay, in this journey, and regardless of who they're studying with, who they're studying under, what they're learning, becoming entrepreneurs, becoming business people, becoming internet entrepreneurs. Most people never are able to make enough money from their let's just say their online efforts to truly replace their full-time job income.
And you know what? I find it's interesting that sometimes that even carries over to people that have had huge successes offline, that somehow like they can't figure out how to translate their skills into the online world, even though it really does have parallels. It's not like gravity doesn't apply online. It's just, there's some shifting that has to take place.
Right. And by the way, guys, we're doing a live training tomorrow night. The link is right there below my beard. And it's etgtips.com/workshop. We're going to do a training on how to break free from the time for money trap in your life or in your business, right? So if you're trapped trading your time for money and you can't seem to get any more leverage and pop things up to the next level, then please join us tomorrow early in the evening for a wonderful live training event. I think you're going to love it. Joshua and I are going to be there, and it's going to be hilarious, if nothing else. So I hope you'll join us.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, your email that you sent out yesterday was awesome. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too, but let me tell you something. It didn't work very well. So, guys, I will be the first to admit that, like, sometimes super creative emails and ideas don't work. Everybody thinks they work and everybody thinks they're cool. That one totally didn't work.
Well, and here's a lesson in that, right? Like, you can't fall in love with your own shit.
Right. It's true.
I mean, you take your best guess, you try some things, and you let the audience, the audience at large tell you whether they're resonating with it or not. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't work forever. It just means that, under these circumstances, that it didn't work with this particular audience right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it got a pretty good open rate, but the click-through rate sucked. Click-through rate totally sucked on that, even though I thought it was really good. That was awesome. Oh well, alas. So we've worked with a lot of people. We've seen a lot of different types of people. People always say, "What's the difference? What's the thing? What's the thing that makes the difference between someone who's a success and someone who's a failure? What's the one thing that millionaires have that are different than everybody else?" And I don't think that's true.
You know what? That leads me to a thought that I think at the root of that question, what's the one thing, is a problem, right? Like, I think very successful entrepreneurs, online, offline, or just people that are excel in general, from from that standpoint, it's not a one and done thing. There's no such thing as happily ever after. It's always a process. It's always ongoing. You're always working on, up leveling your game to the next thing to help people, whatever it looks like for you from your particular point of view. I don't think that anybody that's truly at the top of their game, well, let me put it to you this way. Every time I've had a major fall from grace, so to speak, like I'm sitting on a high of success and then get knocked off of it or knock myself off of it, but don't think that I'm the one that did it.
That's right.
Every time that's happened to me, it's when I got complacent in my, like I know enough, I got enough, and I stopped evolving. I stopped growing with the sign of the times or that type of thing. So I don't think there's such thing as ever being done. And I don't think that it connected to that, there is no one right answer. There is lots of things. And for each person, it shifts, by the way, and
Right.
it's different for, and you've got to be willing to tune into that. I think that's a big piece of it.
Yeah, there's no one path to success. However, I'll tell you, it's a lot faster to follow in someone's footsteps that's been there, that's at least in alignment with the way that you are and your personality and the way that you tend to operate and what you find is important, what your beliefs are, right? Like if you can follow somebody that you resonate with, that you vibe with, that you trust, then your hesitancy as a student will go way down, right? You'll be able to make those moves and do those things because you do truly, genuinely trust the person that you're working with and you're learning from. When you have that level of connection and rapport with whoever your master, your guru, your teacher, your sensei,
whoever's resonating with you at that point, and that brings up another core trait, I think, is that you've got to be open, right? I mean, like you've got to be having the willingness or the openness to try on an idea that somebody you trust or that you respect is giving you, and know that it may or may not be for you, but you've got to be open to at least hearing it and then trying it. Try it on, see if it works, see if it fits for you, for your particular situation, for your personality, whatever, and then then say, oh, that won't work, but after you actually implement.
I'm very interested in hearing. Okay, so that's right, and you have to have sound effects. That's a critical element. You have to have a new sound effect technology. If you don't have sound effect technology, there's no chance of success. No chance without sound effects. I just want to make
I'm
that
just happy that I got my sound fixed.
That's right. That's right. Fixed. So one
now
is
I can annoy you officially.
Openness. I don't know. I do you ever remember Marketer's Deathmatch?
Yes.
We used that sound effect, and there was a sound effect of like a chainsaw. It was teleseminars, and we made it sound like Celebrity Deathmatch, which was an old MTV claymation thing where they'd have like musicians and politicians ripping each other's heads off and slicing each other in half and stuff. So we were kind of making fun of that. Anyway, openness to trying new ideas. Was that the trait?
Yeah, I mean, openness to listen before judging, right? And openness to not just to listen, but to be willing to try it before you say that won't work for my situation. And I think there's a tendency, particularly for people before they have their first taste of success in anything, whether it's online, offline, whether it's one particular category that they've never had success in, but another, is that there's a tendency to look at all the reasons why something won't work, as opposed to, hey, let me just see what's what, and let me see if I could adapt it. Maybe it won't work, but let me try it, and let me see how I could adapt it to my particular situation. How could I apply it in this instance for my needs?
So this is so while we're talking, guys, what we're talking about here are the traits and or skills that you really need to have in order to be successful as an internet entrepreneur. At least working with us, okay, from what we know and what we've seen. You said since 1996 you've been doing online stuff?
Yeah, I guess officially I didn't launch the website until sometime in 97. So, but I've been exploring it since 96.
I'll say 1997.
Because that's 23 years.
That's 23 years, and I've got 17 years. That's 40 years, I think. That's 40 freaking years, baby. So in our 40 years of cumulative experience with online marketing and helping people be successful online, we're talking about the traits that are key traits that you really need to have in order to set yourself up for success. So, and skills. Okay. So these are personality traits, attitudes, proactive skills that you can develop. And by the way, beliefs and personality traits are things that you can choose to develop as well. I want to point out these are not hardwired, but I call this the let go of the, you said this earlier, let go of that won't work for me or my audience.
Or Mr. Yeah, but man. Yeah, but.
Oh, yeah, but.
I used to talk about that at the Two Comma Club, Mr. Yeah, but. And it's, yeah, but, and the tendency is like every time you hear something, instead of saying, that's interesting, how can I apply that to this? The knee-jerk response is, yeah, but that won't work because, and now whatever you're looking for to justify is true for you, right? But it isn't true for somebody else.
I'm going to totally send out for Mr. Yeah, but.
With 2 T's or 1?
I think if I do 2, it will probably get spammed. It probably raised some spam flags.
If you use 2?
2, yeah. Get more eyeballs.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, but that won't work. So
here's why it won't. So now I'm going to collect evidence to support why it won't work.
That's right.
You could also just collect evidence to see why it could work in your particular situation.
I think it was maybe at the Gary Halbert, Mark Joyner Fusion seminar. That was probably my first marketing seminar, maybe. And I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, Gene.
It wasn't my first one, but I seem to remember Gary wandering around on stage with his bandana and his hat on, like kind of having his arms moving around a little bit, and he was going off. And I was really young. Okay. I was just figuring this shit out. I was just starting to show up. I think it wasn't my first seminar, but it was like my first year going to seminars and stuff.
Was that the one, was that Joyner that Joyner was a guest at right after his farewell package, or was that?
It was after the farewell package, and he was doing it to raise money for Simpleology.
Yeah, because I had my film team come in and shoot video for a system seminar for Ken McCarthy. Yeah, McCarthy.
Yeah. Well, system seminar or otherwise, I remember Gary being very irritated about every freaking person who would say, well, yeah, but that won't work for me. That doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for my audience. My people won't like that. And I remember a student that we had very recently who was completely stuck on that one. My audience is different. My people are different. You don't understand how my people work. And
that's the first thing everybody says.
But it's a joke among like direct response marketing teachers. We make fun of
copywriters.
Like
who's ever going to watch all that video? Who's ever going to read all that copy? No, my people are way too sophisticated to buy from long copy. They're business people. They want to get straight to the point. Yeah, but
as a direct response marketer, your first few years when you encounter this, you might take it personally, and you might take it seriously too. When you encounter this, be polite if you can, smile and nod, and walk away.
Depends on my mood.
Just walk away.
Depends on my mood, but sometimes I'll say, "You're completely 100% wrong." if I'm in that mood, and sometimes I'll say, "You're probably right. It wouldn't work for you in this situation." However, I have some clients that I've worked with, and then I find something that I've done that's in the exact same marketplace and show them how they've, evolved, and they found out that it actually does work.
Yeah. I used to try harder with that situation. What I usually do, unless I'm like if I'm irritated or stressed out about something and I'm not in my right mind, then I'll try to give them advice. But generally, I just try to say, okay, well, let me know if your mind opens to this at some point in the future.
Yeah, if I'm in my old man, get off my lawn mode.
There's nothing worse than like somebody who's not paying you, who ignores your advice that they desperately need, when somebody that is willing to pay you $5,000 an hour will like bend over backwards and do exactly what you're willing to say for the same advice. I hate being in that situation. Anyway, so no yeah buts. If you're a Mr. Yeah butt out. What are some other traits of successful internet entrepreneurs? I do firmly believe that they need a lifelong learning mentality. You touched on this a little bit earlier, right? Their life, it's so cliche.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first time that I heard lifelong, I mean, but really, it's like I think I first heard this idea from it was either Halbert or Dan Kennedy, with the principle of the slight edge, right? We're not looking for the game changers that are going to, fix everything in one fell swoop, or the big breakthroughs. They come, but we work on the principles of this little slight edge.
That's right.
And, if you can make a marketable improvement in this and then a slight edge over here, we know that, those tiny hinges pay big dividends, right? They swing big doors. And, so the slight edge, that principle of the slight edge, I think is a very important concept. And it really ties into that single one thing that's going to fix everything. Tell me what to do that's going to fix it. And it isn't. It's a series of slight edges. Not to say that there aren't big breakthroughs that happen, but they only, at least for me, they only happen when I'm consistently working from the space of the slight edge.
So here's the thing, right? So there are magic bullets. There are secret weapons. There are magic lamps. But if you don't have the foundation of your business set up,
right,
doesn't matter. It simply won't matter, right? Like if you have a solid business set up, you're generating some leads every day, you're generating sales every day, you're communicating with your people on a consistent and frequent basis, right? You're actively developing more products, right? You're sharpening your marketing sword. You're consistently studying new marketing methodologies and new business growth mindsets, both tactical and strategic. Like when all those things are in place, and then you go out and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go through Jeff Walker's product launch formula. I'm going to do a product launch, and you do it, and then you make $3 million on top of your normal, like,
right,
70 grand you're normally making every month.
That is a magic lamp at that point.
It's huge, but you already have an audience, you already have a list, you already have product, but you can also launch with like most systems that are out there in the internet marketing world are capable of someone new coming in and using them too. But it's like, the slight edge,
lay the foundation.
Yeah, I guess. Here's another piece. Not only must you be willing to work your ass off, but you also must be willing to consistently work. And at points you have to consistently work your ass off. But at sometimes when it's crunch time, like you're the business owner, you're the leader. And at the end of the day, when everybody else clocks out, guess whose responsibility it is to get the job done, whether or not anybody else did a good job, whether or not anybody else bagged out early. It's yours. It's your job.
Right.
So
the cliche of the buck stops here is absolutely not just the cliche. It happens to be the truth.
That's right. So you need to be willing to work your ass off.
Be willing to change and shift when you need to. Like, I'm not a big fan of continuing to run into a brick wall head first. If that's not working, now, for me, I've got to know the difference between when I'm giving up and selling out on myself too quickly and when, hey, you know what? It's time to shift approaches because, damn, my head's bleeding.
How about going after the dream, not going after the money? So this is the idea that money is the byproduct, right?
Right.
Money is what you get when you create something great because people want to pay you for it. And
Yeah, I
so,
mean, for me, it comes down to living from vision over circumstances. And, it really is that. I mean, for me, that's the biggest piece of the puzzle for me that shifted my success personally, is when I started to recognize when I was living from circumstances and when I was living from my vision.
yeah,
Vision says, here's where I want to go. Here's how here's what I'm committed to creating in the world. Circumstances says, here's what is right now. I can't do this because of this obstacle, this situation, this circumstance, whatever that might be. And the problem is that whenever you're focused in on the circumstances, you're focusing on what is and really what was, because what is isn't right now. It's what was a second ago or
right.
behind you. So you when you're able to live your life primarily, I'm not saying that I can do it 100% of the time, 100% well, but when I am living more from my vision and less from the circumstances, from the conditions, from the situation of what is right now or what was, then there's always hope,
Right.
because I can zig and zag, and I can create something new. I can try a different approach. I can learn something. I can ask somebody who's had success in something that I'm trying to achieve. There's always a way to achieve my vision as long as I'm committed to operate from there, as opposed to saying, oh, here's what, and it's connected to the yeah, but, right?
Yep. Yep. So connected to vision, right, is also I have yet to see someone who's been wildly successful as an internet entrepreneur who wasn't willing to build a team around their vision.
Well, at the end of the day, even if you're a solo practitioner, what you're really doing is you're enrolling other people, your customers, in a common vision,
That's right.
a vision for a bigger future for them. That's what, you're doing. So however you're doing that, whether it's with a team, internal to you, whether it's a joint venture partners, affiliate bases, you have to enroll them in the vision, and not only enroll them in the vision of making a lot of money or making, or some launch that you want them to support, but the vision of why that is of value to them and
Right.
to their subscribers, and, all of that.
It's interesting. That's kind of like the whole backstage, front stage idea that Dan Sullivan talks about with your business. So front stage is your forward-facing presentation to your customers and clients, right, of your business.
Yeah.
Backstage is what happens behind the scenes that isn't necessarily visible to the customers. It's what makes the magic happen. In both cases,
and he got that from Disney World.
That's
I mean,
right.
that was Walt Disney's phrase.
And in order to pull it off, right, you've got to have vision of both. You have to have a vision for what your business, what your company is, and a business for what it does for your people and how it interacts with the public. It's not one
And you have to acknowledge
that
that a certain amount of mystery is important, right?
Right.
So, like, don't share all of the backstage stuff, because you don't want to. Like the saying in politics is, don't let them see how the sausage is made, right? Like,
right.
Like people, it's ugly, it's down in the dirt, it's nitty gritty. Now we're doing a certain amount of showing people how the sausage is made with this right now, as we get clear on the different aspects of what we're doing and how we're doing that. But I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but we are acknowledging that here's what's going on behind the scenes. Here's,
Right.
Here's a slice of what's happening here. And if we want to create a communication enrollment mechanism for our vision, then at a certain point, they don't need to. In fact, they're going to be overwhelmed by all the work that went into us clarifying our vision, what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we want to communicate it best to people, what we're looking to, to attach onto that is going to serve our audience the best, and how, like that is, I think, finding the balance between that is important. And frankly, I'm much more of a what you see is what you get, and I'll let it all hang out there. And sometimes that hurts me because people, like, I give people too much,
right,
and they get overwhelmed. And I noticed that this is as I've gotten older, as I'm reaching into the late 40s into my 50s, I seem to be worse at this, where I don't care. I want to give everybody everything, and it works against their interest. Actually, I forget what I used to know.
Right. It totally can. It totally can. Jacqueline, we are using Restream today out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
Yeah, just curious, Jacqueline, what prompted your question? Is there something different that looks different now
there are people watching live. What we found is that when we broadcast out to multiple Facebook pages simultaneously, it kind of disperses the audience, I think, in terms of people because lots of people that follow us follow me, follow Joshua, and are members of the Art of Email Marketing, etc. And then we also have people that follow us on multiple platforms. And so what I have noticed is that when we push out, and what I think I've noticed, okay, this isn't definitive, this was what appears to be the case to me, is that at times, well, first of all, you can only see comments because comments that are pushing in, like you can't see comments, for example, if they're inside the Art of Email Marketing, because people will be watching inside there, and maybe you're watching on my personal page, maybe you're watching on Joshua's personal page. That's one of the downsides to streaming on multiple places all at once, is the comments that come in aren't propagated across all the different places.
Well, and it's a combination of things, right? Like, we have the ability, for the most part, I'd say it's about 90% good, that the comments come into a central location inside of Restream, no matter what the platform, no matter which outlet we happen to be broadcasting to. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes I think it might have to do with people's privacy settings themselves on Facebook or wherever they happen to be looking, whether their comments even get broadcast to a third app. But then, like, when we see a comment from no name, we still see the comment, but then we've got to know, we then have to seek out, like, if we want to figure out who's actually saying it. Usually I'd say 9 times out of 10, it's in the Art of Email Marketing group, because that passes the comment, but not the name, because of privacy.
Exactly. So, all right. Awesome. Yeah. So, so other characteristics and other traits that really make up successful internet entrepreneurs. I think that, I hate to say it, but it seems to me that if you're the type of person who has been told something like, when will enough be enough for you? Or when are you going to be happy? Or at what point are you going to be okay with what you've got? A lot of successful internet entrepreneurs they're not satisfied. They're so growth minded. They keep on going and going and going, and that can be a fault. It can be a problem. It can cause enormous imbalance. But
yeah, and I think the thing to look out for is, at least it was for me, is not just going bigger, better, badder for bigger, better, badder sake. To make sure that you're fully enjoying, and this is another cliche, but enjoying the journey. Are you happy as you're going along? Because this, I'll be happy when stuff, or I'll have this when. While it might be a great driver, I promise you, at least it was for me and many of the other people that I've talked to about this, it's temporary. And
Right.
it's only so long before it's going to collapse on you. And, so that if you're not fully, engaged in what you're doing and enjoying the process and doing something that's meaningful. And for me, it ties back to vision over circumstance. If I'm actually working towards something that I have a vision for, and that I've got to share that vision with others, and that if it'll improve their lives, now I'm having fun along the way. Sure, I still get stressed. Sure, I still get frustrated and all of that. But now it's for a purpose. And the money is great, and it's important to keep your KPIs in check and making sure that you're making progress. But when you start measuring for measurement's sake, when you start to have your KPIs be, your badge of honor. Like, I've got a 80% open rate on this, and my opt-in rates are second to none. And that ad that I placed got a $10.1 per dollar spent return. Yeah, and so what? Right? I mean, like, that's not the point. The point is what you're doing to get that success. And I find that when you start focusing there, that's the beginning of the downward spiral into, holy shit, what just happened to my business? What just happened to my success?
It's true. It's true.
I'm not saying that you're not hungry.
No,
I'm not saying that you're not,
But yeah. So, if you want to make a lot of money, if you want to have a financially successful business, there needs to be that drive to some degree. And you also, friendly reminder, keep it in check, right? Don't let that be the end all be all of your entire life. I noticed that there's something else though. That's a trait that is absolutely a trait of people that are not successful with as entrepreneurs and internet marketers specifically. Is people who will basically use an aspect of their personality as an excuse for not getting good at that thing. So
yeah, I've got ADD, so of course I'm like this.
Mm-hmm. So I've got ADD. I'm easily distracted, and that's why I don't ever get anything done. Of course I'm easily distracted. I've been that way my whole life. Here's another one. I'm not good with technology. I'm not good with
numbers, math.
Right? So the problem is, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, especially online, you're going to be distracted all the fucking time. Okay? If you're going to be working online, your life is one grandiose distraction, and you need to learn ways of dealing with it and being successful anyway. If you're going to be an internet entrepreneur, you need to fall in love with your computer. Okay? I don't care if you suck at it. Doesn't matter. But like embracing that and saying, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. Do whatever it takes. Maybe you need
or come to grips with the fact that this internet thing isn't for you. If you're unwilling to do that,
right,
then own up to the fact that, you know what, you got to find something else.
Something else. Exactly. But like there are certain things that you can't use your personality traits or your past as an excuse for why you can't take action to move toward your future, even if it's true. Okay?
It's always true.
Right?
It's always true, right? So, but, if you really want to break through and you don't want to just stay in that victim mode of and justify why you're not creating what you want to create.
That's right.
You can't do both. You can't run forward and backward simultaneously. It's impossible.
Jacqueline, I'm very curious. I got your text the other day about, you said you got 67 new opt-ins. Awesome. Now, I'm going to bring you back to this. I know you're moving and all sorts of other stuff. What have you started doing differently that's caused you to start getting more opt-ins?
Was it the
Or
promotion of refer a friend via email? Was
yeah,
it
but be
the
really
base? Was it?
specific. Be really specific with your answer. Don't be vague. Be very clear and direct with your answer. What specifically in the real world are you doing differently that's causing a real world response to be different? What's changed? What are you doing differently?
And it may be two things,
It may
right?
be 5 things. I don't know.
Right.
You know?
And they may be stacking on top of one another to give you the results, but start examining the first one, and then if you can trace back to the second one, third one, fourth one, etc.
You know, one thing I did do, Jacqueline, I went back and I looked over your videos from last week when you said you had gotten like 400 new opt-ins or whatever. And I didn't see personally, with what I saw on your personal page, I didn't see a video that was like a runaway smash hit video that seemed to be the source of all of the success. Now, maybe I missed a video. That's totally possible. But one thing you can do is go back and look at your stats and look at when those people opted in and see if they all opted in on one specific day or on 2 specific days. And that way you might be able to isolate it down to the specific video or email or thing that you did that caused the lift. So
I think that I've got a theory, and it's a total guess on my part based on just my experiences previously, but my theory is this. It's like what Joyner talks about in viral marketing is the sneezers. You've carefully, methodically built relationship with a small segment of people via your live streams, and they're your sneezers, they're your zealots, so let's say you know, for the last 6 months you've built up a subscriber base just from live streams that have joined your list, and let's say it's like a couple hundred people, but then you ask them to support you, and you do it like, you know, can you forward this email to other people that would have an interest, and now they have a commitment to you and to the cause, because now it's not just about you asking for a favor. They're now committed to the vision.
That's right.
That you've shared with them, and it's almost their duty bound to share this with other people. They want to. It's like doing a favor for other people to help them. Yeah. And that's my theory about what is driving it. Now, again, it's a total guess without knowing any of the details. But that's an important thing to understand, like with this process of building the following via the live streams. And not that I know a lot about the traction that comes from doing it consistently, but I do know this: the people that show up every day, even if it's only like 10 people regularly, those are it. I mean, those are the ones that you can build an empire with and for them and help them and support them, and they'll support you.
That's right. That's right. So on that note, I guess another piece to really think about as an entrepreneur, as someone who's trying to really make this internet entrepreneurial journey work for you, is to, and when I say build a team, this could be a team of freelancers. This doesn't have to be employees. It could be it could be your core team of your business. Like all the key roles in your business could be your team, right? And maybe they're all going to get paid on percentage, and you have a clear enough vision and dream that you know, and you get all of them to buy into it so that you get the skills that you need for free until you guys get up and running. You know, I've done that with several companies. But the key here is hiring people or being willing to build a team of people who are more excellent than you are in a whole bunch of different ways. Basically, not having to feel like you're the top dog on all areas of your company. Because if you're the best of the best in everything in your company, you're going to have a bunch of idiotic underlings that don't give a crap. And they're not going to feel good about what they're doing because they're always second to you. Even if you're in charge and you're the leader and you're the owner, still hiring people who are notably better than you at X, Y, Z, you know, as many things as possible, except your core things. And then if and when you're ready to leave the company, even hire people that are better at you than your core things. And that's when, like,
work yourself out of a job.
It's easy to say, but on an ego level, it's a hard thing to do it.
No, it's really hard. Not only that, if you're used to being the buck stops here kind of guy, and that it lives and dies with you making the not that that's not important and critical to getting things off the ground, but the tendency, at least for me, is to micromanage and to not, like, well, they can't do it as good as I can do it. Well, that's probably bullshit, first off. And even if it was true, if I take the time to find people that aren't just excellent at it, but it's in their stupid human trick zone, their unique ability zone, that the act of doing it fills them with excitement, energy, and passion. Whereas for me, even though I could do it really well, it's draining the ever-loving crap out of me.
That's right.
But the willingness to surrender the how it looks factor, right? Like letting people take ownership of it means that you've got to work with them and enroll them in a common vision of what the outcome is that you're looking for, and they've got to be in alignment with it. But then you've got to be able to surrender how they get there. And give them the tools, but it also, for me, the tough part is the accountability, right? Because you can't just walk away. You can't just say, "Okay, I've done that. Now you go forth and handle it." Because what'll happen is when you come back, you won't have it's not going to be happening, right? So you've got to have the check-ins, you've got to have the accountabilities, and you've got to have the way to empower your team as they are taking ownership of it, as they're figuring out the best ways to do the what. And somebody that's really brilliant at this, Talman, I've talked about this before in other contexts, but Dan Kushel. We definitely should have him on to talk about his onboarding processes for hiring, but more importantly than just hiring is training and building them up and giving them the right empowerment to do that, and mistakes that he's made and skills that he's gained doing that. Because he's brilliant at it.
Makes sense. And it's not an easy thing to learn how to do. It takes time, and sometimes you have to screw it up, unfortunately, along the way. And that's where you get some of the most powerful lessons are. But
and you know what I mean, like for anybody that's a get it done type A personality driver, as is my default, right? It's sometimes just say, screw it, get out of my way. It's easier if I do it.
Yeah,
I hate doing it, but get the fuck out of my way because I want to get this done.
Right.
And that's a short-term fix for a long-term problem.
Yep, it really is. It really is. Guys, we are doing a training tomorrow at the URL below my beard, etgtips.com/workshop.
On top of it.
That's right. ETG tips. ETG stands for Escape the Grind. etgtips.com/workshop. Doing a training on how to break free from the time for money trap,
which is one of the biggest grinds that everybody faces, right? It's resources of time and money and energy, and how do you deploy them? I don't care whether you've got millions of dollars, you're still got that that trade off of time and money resources that you've got to figure out and allocate and manage through. Right. And so it's one of the biggest grinds of the three that we face in life that, can become messy and or crises if not attended to.
That's right. So if you're ready to break free, join us tomorrow evening. We'll share with you everything we've got. You can register at the link below. And I have three more. So these are more like rubber meets road, okay? But there are three skills that I believe are absolutely necessary to be successful as an internet entrepreneur. And at this point, I think they're necessary for you to learn. Okay? Now, all three of them are also delegatable. That's the good news. So if you are already a great leader, if you already know how to build businesses, if you already know how to build teams, you can learn about these things and get your vision clear enough and hire people to do these things. But unless you have a very good understanding of how each one of them work, you will misdirect your team and your business will fail. So I recommend that you get good at these 3 skills. These are the it's kind of the holy trinity of internet marketing skills in my experience, and I've been talking about them for years. The 3 skills that you must learn, and then at some point you're going to want to delegate some of them, and they're not in any particular order. They're all at the same time, unfortunately, is traffic. You need to learn how to drive at least one form of traffic really, really, really well, so you have new people coming to your website and joining your list every day. Okay? Number 1, daily traffic. Traffic can come in many forms, right? There are a million forms. We could list them off, right? I mean, whether you're talking about YouTube videos or Facebook videos, whether you're talking about...
Here's just a partial list of them.
Right? So there's
your traffic strategy.
there's tons of ways to get traffic. We're not going to spend all day talking about traffic here, but there are many, 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 many ways, right?
Especially since, now there's a million more.
Right, exactly. So, again, doing organic Facebook Live videos is a traffic source, okay? Doing Facebook ads is a traffic source. Getting good at Google SEO is a traffic source. Buying solo ads is a traffic source. Mastering referral traffic and using referral traffic contests is a traffic source. Google ads are a traffic source.
Did you say affiliates and joint venture partners?
Did you
say that already?
Program, and you build a network of affiliates and joint venture partners that send you traffic and earn commission. Totally. I made millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on that one source of traffic. Thank you, Kyle Battis. And so we could go on and on, but at least one source of traffic that you're actively studying, that you're reading books about, that you're going through courses on, that you're listening to podcasts about, that you're on email lists about, and that you're actively doing every single freaking day. Traffic source.
And I would highly recommend that you get one going first before you try to get diversified and get like 10,000 different feeders into your system. Get one going to a substantially decent level that you can say, maybe you don't master it, but you know it well enough that it's generating a steady flow and it's actually working. That
you can live on. Okay, so Jacqueline, for example, with you, your question is about diversifying your stream. Way too soon. You need to figure out how to get your message out there on a much larger scale and build your Facebook group. Okay, you already know the answers to these questions. You don't need 5 different sources of traffic until you're getting thousands of views every day on your Facebook live streams. No, focus.
Yeah, and let me, I just want to point something out. Don't get confused by the fact that we're broadcasting to 10 different platforms simultaneously. Yeah. We are doing that, but the only thing that we're truly focused on right now is each of our personal profiles of Facebook. Everything else is a bonus on the house. And we are, in fact, we're just using that as a methodology to, to pick up anything that we can get, any traction that we can get. Why not? Because it's not costing us anything. However, what we're focusing on in terms of our messaging, what we're focused on in terms of our, the service that we're providing really is 100% right now focused in on helping people that are following us on our personal profiles on Facebook. And really it's only one, because it's Telman's personal profile and my personal profile. And then everything else is a bonus on the house.
Right. And, we could go on. I mean, at the end of the day, we're doing Facebook videos. People are joining our email list. We do have a Facebook group that people are joining, and people are joining our webinars, right? And so it's very basic technology. We're not using super crazy stuff. And
show them your very technical, fancy lower third banner if you've got it handy.
I do. Yeah, actually, Jacqueline said earlier, one of the things that she says she's been taking the time. She holds up a sign with her URL on it at the end with a heartfelt share. So on that note,
very, very technical.
But here's
actually, if I were to redo it, Telman, I would handwrite it.
That's right. No, but seriously, it gets so much more attention, honestly. So the three skills: traffic, direct response copywriting. Okay, traffic, direct
Which is
response
marketing.
copywriting. What's that?
It's marketing. I mean, that's marketing strategy. Copywriting is marketing.
Direct response specifically,
Yeah.
right? But the skill being copywriting. And then the third is funnel building. Okay. I don't have a better term for it, but it's basic funnel tech skills. Okay.
So funny. So here's the three that I teach as well. And it's, let's see if I got this. So you start with traffic, which is down here, your traffic strategy, then
Backwards.
your website strategy plan, so that's the funnel, right? That's all the technical stuff. And then it's the marketing strategy. And those are the three, like when you look for the common, what's the root wire, what's the big rocks, that's it. And everything else is an enhancement to those things. Yes, there's lots of things that you can do. There's lots of details, like Telman started listing off all the different sources of traffic. But at the end of the day, if you're looking to optimize, those are the three primary things that are going to make any business. And frankly, it crosses over to the offline world as well. But that's it. Those three major things. And you focus there, you will get some results. Then you can improve from there, the principle of the slight edge, and improve, and then have big paydays like nobody's business.
Now, here's the thing about this, right? Is that when I first figured this stuff out, for me, I had none of those skills. And the one thing that I did have a vision. And I was willing to learn direct response marketing. Okay, so I was learning all those skills. I was learning about traffic. I was learning about copy. I was learning the technical skills, which 15, 17, 20 years ago are way harder now than they are now. Now,
sure.
When I say,
at least in the online world,
when I say you need funnel building, what I'm saying is you need to sign up for ClickFunnels and watch the support videos. And type in questions when you need help. That's what I'm saying about skill. It's not like you have to go to freaking college, right? We're talking about buying.
You don't have to learn HTML if you don't want to.
Very minimally, right? Occasionally there's a little code you have to copy and paste. I know that's confusing at first, but everything's confusing at first. So
true.
Yeah, whether it's Convertri or whether it's ClickFunnels or whether it's Samcart or whether it's Thrivecart or whether there are a million Groove pages, whatever, I don't care. The point is, you need to be willing to learn that stuff and get over your fear of technology. But when I got started, I didn't have any of those skills. I had a big enough vision, and I was willing to enroll people in the team that had the skills that I needed, because I was able to identify the skills that I needed that I didn't have, and I didn't have the time or the money to acquire. So instead, I acquired several business partners. Really, I acquired several team members that were working on percentage, and if you're not making the progress that you want to make, but you have the vision, you know what you want to create, but you just don't have the skills. One thing I would seriously ask you is, why aren't you enrolling 2 or 3 other people who are strong in the skills that you're weak at and bring them in? Because they're all flailing around trying to be the one-person solo entrepreneur just as much as you are. Everybody's suffering from the same crap, and it's really hard to go at it alone. And so I know a lot of the people that watch our videos and interact, when we ask, are you a one-man, one-woman show? And the answer is yes, I'm a one-person show. And I've been a one-person show a few times in my business career. And every single time I made a lot less money than when I had a team.
And for me, it's about collaboration. It's the magic of collaboration. I enjoy that process. Like nobody's business. And that's frankly why Telman and I are partnered up on this, is because the collaboration, it's the teamwork, it's the the accountability, it's working together, even though both of us are capable of creating it on our own or enrolling another vision with it. And sometimes it's harder, right? When you're working with the team, because you do have to spend time to see somebody else's point of view, to enroll them in your point of view, and to be willing to see a bigger possibility on both sides, right? And
Right.
But at the end of the day, that ends up with bigger results.
So, Jacqueline, I'm going to give you a little coaching, if I may. I'm just going to assume that I can since you're here. So this right here is a good old-fashioned excuse, okay? Have not met those tech people to connect with. You've been doing online business as long as I have, Jacqueline. I met you at freaking big seminar.
And that's a disguised yeah, but, by the way.
Totally is a yeah, but. And so there are thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of Facebook groups of marketers, of copywriters, of ClickFunnels experts, whatever the platforms are that you're using. They're everywhere and they're free to join. All of the people that you need are already available to you, and they're probably already in the Facebook groups that you're probably already a member of, is what I'm guessing. If you don't seek out the people that you want, you will not find them. So step one, saying those tech people isn't going to get you what you need. What specifically do you need? Do you need someone who is an expert in ClickFunnels? Well, if so, go to ClickFunnels Official, join the group, and there's like 200,000 people in there who are super techie and have no other skills. Okay?
Something else that I want to call attention to that I hope doesn't get glossed over, which is think about what Tillman shares frequently about enrolling people in the way that he built his team. He didn't have the funds. He didn't think of it as needing to hire them, even though it was his vision, even though he was the driving force behind it. He didn't have money to hire them and to pay them. So what did he do? He figured out how to get them involved and how to make it in their best interest so that they would want to help him, so that they would win as well, even though it was his vision that and he was the leader of it.
And I want to point out that I don't even remember what my initial vision was, but I know it wasn't what it ended up as. And I know that I had to try a whole bunch of things that nobody gave a crap about before I hit something that made other people's hair on the back of their arm stand on end when I talked to them about it.
We're in alignment with you. Yeah.
Yep. Sometimes you have to try a bunch. It's like as a musician, okay? If you're like a singer songwriter and you write all sorts of songs from the heart and you play them and nobody gives a crap, and then finally you write one and all of a sudden everybody feels it, and that's when you've nailed it. And you don't always do that. You don't always home run it, and sometimes you'll only get one of those in your career, and sometimes you'll get good at doing it over and over again. But super important that you adjust your vision and keep track of whether or not it fires other people up. What worked for me was, all right, guys, I'm going to interview the biggest and the best names in the internet marketing world on email marketing and list building. I'm going to record all the interviews, and we're going to build a list of 1 million subscribers in 6 months or less, and we're going to take the list on the journey with us as we go. And I want you to be part of it as my tech guy. And I'm going to pay you the same amount that I'm going to pay me. Okay, here's how it's going to work, right? Would you like to be my tech guy? Yes!
It's a no-brainer once you've got that worked out. And once you realize that the value that you're bringing to somebody is the ability to be a part of whatever your vision is.
Not to mention, Jacqueline, honestly, I'm going to make a bold statement, but I don't think it's that bold. You have, as I recall, an email list of about 1,300 people that's growing. You have a platform on Facebook where people watch you every day. If there's someone that you need with a specific skill set, why don't you ask for it?
That's a great idea, Tillman.
Directly and clearly. Make a video about the person, and only do one video. So even if you want 5 different people, that's fine. Do 5 different videos. Okay. Don't try to lump everybody into one video. That's a total waste of time. So do a wanted ad. Okay. Do a video stating the perfect person that you're looking for.
And what's in it for them? Why
Yeah.
is that? Why are you and what you're offering the best, possibility on God's green earth to, to come to you, to be like, where have you been all my life type thing? Like you want them to feel that kind of excitement.
So Gene, this goes for you too. This goes for everybody that's not saying anything and is a one man, one woman show. And you think you have no ability to grow. It's bullshit. So here's the deal. What you can do is get clear on who you want and ask for it. You can make a video on Facebook. You can write up an email about it. You can write up an email about it and link to the video on Facebook after you've done it, or YouTube or whatever. But the point is, you're not obligated to hire anyone, and you're not obligated to partner with anyone at all. If the only people that you get that raise their hand are total creeper weirdos and you don't want to deal with any of them, don't. So don't hesitate on this because you're like, oh no, I'm not ready to hire somebody. No, this is all about the art of asking. Thank you, Amanda Palmer. Read that, by the way.
Brilliant book.
Or listen to it if you haven't already.
Jacqueline, I hear you about what you're saying. I've asked and asked, no response yet. And yes, I think, doing a video with a, what's in it for me approach. Yes. And also go into it with the intention of having a successful outcome. I think that because you've been beat up so many times now, that your tendency is to go into a situation looking for why something won't work. And it's not a conscious thing. It's just an energy thing. And I do believe that it's it's part of that thing. Like, if you walk on coals and you're thinking that you can't do it, or that there's a slight hesitation or fear enters in, then you get burnt feet. Right. And otherwise you come through it. Okay. So, I mean, just to put it in some of your language that I think probably applies to you, but at the same time, go in with the intention of having that successful outcome, and go in with the intention of like serving others. And because I got to tell you something, when I'm talking from my vision, and when I'm, not that it appeals to everybody, but when I talk about what I want to create in the world, when Telman shares his vision for I'm going to interview the best known entrepreneurs in the online world, and we're going to do interviews and we're going to record them and we're going to build a massive list and you're going to get to be a part of that. Well, that is like, that's something like, I want to be a part of that. But when you go in with the feeling of I've asked and I've asked and I've asked and nobody is, stepping up to the plate yet, then even if you're not actually saying that, but your energy, your music is saying that, what ends up happening is people say, who wants to be a part of that parade? Yeah, I don't want to join that. I don't.
Yeah. You're not allowed to get jaded. Not an option. Right. I've seen a ton, now that I think about it, a ton of successful internet entrepreneurs that when their team starts getting to the point where it needs to grow, they'll do a Facebook post and a Facebook Live all about our team is growing. Here's what we need.
Yeah, or an email.
Absolutely. And so you have a list and you have a following, and your list and following have friends. And so if you're not getting what you want, you're not being clear enough about who you want. So think about it as,
and you got to be it. You can't just say it.
Yeah, it's not that you've asked, it's that your ad didn't work. Okay, your copy wasn't any good. That's all. You did a bunch of copy and it sucked. So write better copy, right? Try a different angle. How to write like Google, how to write an amazing help wanted ad, right? I'll go Google that right now.
Well, and also put it in the framework of your spoon bending, your PK stuff, right? Like, people can learn the mechanics, but until they actually start exuding it and they start being it, I would imagine that it doesn't work, right? They've learned everything that you have to teach them intellectually on a knowledge basis, but until they start to channel it, until they start to believe it themselves and be it, then that's what shifts. and for confidence and for enrollment and for the possibilities of living a bigger future for yourself, the instant that you start being it, that you start your spoon bending as it relates to recruiting your team, I think you'll see a marked improvement no matter what you're saying, because the words don't matter. The music does.
And you can totally Google how to find hilarious, funny, clever, amazing help wanted ads, and there's stuff all over the internet about it. So
yeah, but make sure you go in with the intention of having success and having the positive outcome.
Absolutely.
Because then all that stuff works.
If you're really, another version of this, guys, is that if you really, really want to, if you're really clear on who you need and you know how to train them, and you're willing to train people up who are not knowledgeable or do not have the expertise, but you're looking for cheap labor that's willing to learn, then the internship program kind of concept could work really well. I mean, you could do a funny ad where you like trade spoons for work or something. You pay people in silver spoons. I don't know. You could do a born with a silver build.
I mean, how many people that are interested in your PK work would love to get some personalized coaching in exchange for doing some, some skills that you need to have done and some help?
Yeah, I mean, maybe what you need is someone. Maybe you need a live-in tech intern, someone who's familiar with ClickFunnels and Aweber or whatever, and wants to learn how to become a master spoon bender. And they're going to come and live in your spare bedroom, and they're going to work for you as your technical assistant. And congratulations, you just got yourself a tech intern, So when you ask for help, you also need to be really clear. You need to be clear on what you're bringing to the table. So it's not just good enough for you to be like, oh, I need help. Here's what I need. You'd be like, I need help, and here's why I'm freaking awesome and why you want to work with me, right? Here's what I'm going to do to make your life great. And if you give a lot of energy into not just what you're looking for, but what you're bringing to the table, that'll make a huge, huge difference as well. And we have a awesome training coming up tomorrow. etgtips.com/workshop.
And just to answer your question from a while back, Gene, how do you make sure that it won't show backwards? Like I assume my text is showing backwards. It depends on the app that you're using, but usually there's a feature that says mirror my screen, yes or no. And so I have it in several locations. The reason why I have my screen mirrored is because I want to be able to do this and actually turn towards the way that I'm actually looking off camera. So it's actually doing the opposite, which is why the is backwards. Any text right now is backwards. So I'd have to, instead of doing that, I'd click a button, and now when I go to look this way, which I think is the other way, I'm now looking at Tellman, but I'm really looking to my right instead of, which is the opposite, which to me annoys me. So I go this way. And then if I'm going to show something, I flip it. And then there's even, depending on how advanced you want to get, there's this.
So advanced.
Because I want to have my camera. I'm using my iPhone as a camera right now, but I wanted to have it in a way that the iPhone doesn't like to work. Which is I want the lens at the bottom so that I can be looking closer to the bottom and I can be looking into it. So I have to have a third-party thing that can actually flip it 180 degrees.
That's right.
Plus, it's fun.
All right, guys. I think we are going to wrap.
Yeah. I think we need to retitle this video, too.
In all the different places. Rock and roll. All right, well, I hope to see you guys tomorrow. We'll definitely see you on the live stream and tomorrow evening as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for interacting. And please let us know what we can do to help you. If you have any specific questions on growing your business, please ask them.
Join us for the workshop. And you know what? Let's ask you, like anybody that that could benefit from this. If you've enjoyed our our live streams over the past few weeks, we're starting to get into a real rhythm here, and I'm excited for tomorrow night. I'm excited to share the information, and I think you guys know that are watching what we can contribute. And so if you think that there's some people that would resonate with that, please invite them. That would be awesome.
And you can just send them to this URL, etgtips.com/workshop. You can see it under my beard, and I just put it into the comments as well. So you should be seeing that pop up here in the not too distant future.
Jacqueline asked time, ? Which leads me to another thought. Yes, that page does not have a time, or, it's a very minimalist point of view. It's 7 o'clock tomorrow evening.
Yep, 7
Eastern time.
Pacific. Yep. So you can just go ahead and register, and we'll see you then. Rock and roll. All right. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, everybody. And
thank you, Telman. I've enjoyed this.
Likewise.